Hi, it's Mark here. On behalf of the incredible team at Truthology, welcome to this brief introduction. I'm standing here in this serene park in Brisbane, and as in many other cities around the world, there are millions of wage slaves trudging off through this thing that we call life. But is life supposed to look this way? Are we designed to work 8 to 12 hours a day, sometimes 6 to 7 days a week? Are we designed to live with the constant stress of debt, taxes, and the 7 million laws and statutes that keep us in servitude? With dis-ease, divorce rates, alcoholism, and bankruptcy rates all on the rise, I'm left wondering if something isn't profoundly sick with today's society. Many small to medium enterprises are funding their failing businesses with credit cards and loans from other family members, while others are falling further and further behind with school fees, car payments, and so on. So I guess this begs the question, why? Unfortunately, the answer is that it's designed to be that way. In our workshops, we discover how the capitalist monetary-based system is specifically designed to fail, and that every 80 to 100 years, it's designed to fail in biblical proportions. The system is also designed to establish you as individuals. Break that word down, individe you all. In most big cities, we don't even seem to know who our neighbours are. I mean, who are they really? We seem to have lost that sense of community. Who are you really? We are not our jobs. In your last days in this lifetime, it's unlikely you'll be reminiscing about your best day at work. Or will you? I believe that's because we are so busy at work, or in busyness, break that word down, that we have forgotten who we really are, beneath the title of the dentist, the lawyer, the truck driver, the teacher, the mechanic. When I look around, I don't know about you, but I notice that the world is pretty messed up. You only need look at the pointless wars we wage, the total inequality of wealth, the forests being raped, pollution levels, the ridiculous desire for consumerism and constant depleting of human rights. So how have we got here? What drives us to believe that we need all the stuff that we are paying off? In my presentation, available to all Truthology members, we delve into how we allow our beliefs to be shaped by outside forces and how we can begin to be more conscious of our environment and therefore reshape our beliefs to create a better world. The legacy we leave our children and their children is up to you. You see, the current economy is based on cyclical consumption. What does that mean? It means that virtually everything you buy these days is designed with planned obsolescence in mind. Do you remember Nana's old fridge or washing machine that used to take 3 big blokes to lift? Until the last 30 or 40 years, things used to be built to last. Nowadays, you probably all realise that items are built with very limited lifespan. It's the only way to keep this current economy going. Unfortunately, whilst you think it's you who's footing the bill, it's actually Mother Earth who is paying. So there you are, trying to keep up with the Joneses, with the latest iPhone, car, home theatre system, and so on, having to pay for it all by working so hard. And let me ask you, did you pay cash for that car, or your home, or even the home theatre system? Chances are you borrowed the money, yeah? Welcome to being one of the billions of debt slaves on planet Earth right now. I owe, it's off to work I go. Snow White had it right. Let us have a look at what most people's day looks like. But before we do, let's talk about the tax system we all love so much. I'd like to read something that one of my clients emailed me the other day. Building permit tax, cigarette tax, corporate income tax, GST, fishing license tax, food license tax, fuel tax, hunting license tax. Here's a good one, inheritance tax, inventory tax, liquor tax, luxury tax, marriage license tax, real estate tax, capital gains tax, social securities tax. The list goes on. Still think it's funny? Not one of these taxes existed 100 years ago, and yet we lived in one of the most prosperous countries on earth. Now, to make matters even more interesting, did you know that virtually all central banks throughout the world are owned by private corporations? Do you understand the ramifications of this? Nations around the world are not run by governments, but by a corrupt corporatocracy. They control the money and they have their own selfish needs at heart, not yours. The Commonwealth of Australia is a registered corporation in the US. Look it up for yourself. What is a corporation? Break the word down. It is a dead man speaking. The lifeblood of a corporation is profit. So you are being harvested as state sheeple and you don't even know it. How did this happen? So how did they do this? Or why did they do this? So who's heard it for the first time, that you're acting under an agent in commerce, as we call it? Most people have no idea. If you've got your driver's license, I saw some people pulling them out. Pull your driver's license out, or your credit card, or a mortgage, M-O-R-T, mort meaning death, gauge debt, debt till death. So your debt till death document that you signed, everything will have your name in, at least, at worst, your surname, name denoting a corporate entity, in capital letters. Okay, and there's no mistakes to that. We've got a client who's a former police officer who, when he went through his police training, was told whenever you're writing a person's name, a corporate name, you write it in all capital letters. So I'll tell you a couple of my police stories just before lunch, where my address was in upper and lower case, but my name was in all capital letters. He had no idea why he was writing it that way. But how did they get there? Normally I bring a Bible, and we're not here to Bible bash, but what I can tell you is that the court systems and the law are based on what? They're based on the Bible. You make no mistake. In fact, we had a guy at the last course who's trying to become an Australian citizen, and it's part of the Australian citizenship exam and things you have to study is acknowledging that the Bible is one of the most important documents, and that's what the law is based on. So it's there for everyone to see. So what I normally do is have someone read out 1 Samuel chapter 8. Does anybody know what 1 Samuel chapter 8 is, the message? It's be wary of appointing a king. There is only one creator, so be wary of appointing a king, because that king may be corrupt and take the best of your sons and send them off in thousands, armies of thousands. Turn your daughters into perfumers, take 10% of the best of your crop and livestock, X, Y, and Z. It runs through this whole story about be wary of appointing a king, and a king is what? The government. So if you watch some of the rest of the Chromatica, it talks about the victim archetype or the victim consciousness that we live in, and by allowing ourselves to feel that way, we feel we need a ruler. We feel we need this big, powerful force that apparently has our best interests in heart to allow us to be ruled. So if you read 1 Samuel chapter 8, it'll make it very clear that we need to be wary of appointing a king. So what I'm going to talk to you now is about the master-servant relationship. Okay, and I want you to just look through, as we go down the line here, who's the master and who's the servant? Yeah? So if we've got the creator or God, or Yahweh, your first breath, created man. So we're God's gracious servants, and we're to report to one master. I'm talking about how the Bible's beliefs are here. What your beliefs are yours. So then in our infinite wisdom, as our infrastructure grew and we thought that we needed management, we created government to govern us. Yeah? And so what are government workers called? Public servants. So we're the master and they're the servant. Does it feel that way? Last time you had a chat with the ATO? Now, when they realised then, of course, that they are our servants, the powers that be didn't like that, because they want to have what they call jurisdiction or power over us. So they then created, you'll notice I've spelt it in all capital letters, corporate government. The Commonwealth of Australia is a proprietary limited company. Queensland Government is the Brigalow Corporation. Look it up. All these organisations, the Australian Taxation Office, they're all corporations. Okay? And what's the lifeblood of a corporation? Profit. Thank you. So these corporations then, in around 1932-33, when most of the world went bankrupt, created your birth certificate. And they created you as a person. Get a Black's Law Legal Dictionary. It's the dictionary they'll use in court, and look up person. It will denote a person as a corporation, and the lesser of which any meaning is to stand in court. So they've created this trust, or this document here, which is a birth certificate. They always had the Register of Births, Deaths and Marriages, but they started issuing these certificates in around 1932-33. Okay, so quick background knowledge. And we're sort of building a jigsaw puzzle here today, guys. But it's hard. I'm building a little bit over here, a little bit over here. Hopefully by the end of the day it'll come together. But just from a banking perspective, in 1913 in America, the Federal Reserve was instigated. And that's a centrally owned bank. Okay, centrally owned bank by who? People think it's the government. Same with the RBA, the Reserve Bank of Australia. Who thinks the RBA is a government institution? Nope, privately owned. So you've got private corporations and people issuing the money and controlling the people. So when the government went bankrupt, these banksters came back and said, right, well, we now want collateral over your people. So they've created a corporate a corporate entity that you now trade under. Amazing, isn't it? So they've created this person down here that's now been traded. Your original birth certificate, this isn't Steph's, The original one will be probably sitting in a Swiss bank somewhere with a few stamps on it, has been mortgaged. There's what they call an exemption account or an offset account that's been set with your bond or your trust deed here. Who thinks they're running around as a trust or a corporation? What do you need to open a bank account? What do you need for your passport? What do you need to do anything? Get your driver's license or anything? They want to see this corporate entity. Sounds far-fetched? I thought it was far-fetched the first time I heard it, but actually it resonated as true as truth with me. It just started sinking in really big time for me. So they've then created this corporate person and given you a tax file number, just like they give an ABN number to any other corporation, or a birth certificate number or a social security number, which is up here, or a warehouse receipt, your state chattel, owned by the state. Remember what a certificate is? Now, this document's it's beautiful. They don't hide any of this, guys. They put it up for you to see what you've done. My birth certificate, I'm 43, Steph's 30, so I'm sort of the next generation on. They've got father's occupation only, whereas Steph's got mother's and father's occupation. Because what's happened is, of course, as debt got bigger and taxes, they wanted to tax both the population, not just men. Women then went out to work. But why do they ask for the father's occupation? Yeah, know how much you're worth. If your dad's a doctor, it's a good chance you might be. If he's a coal miner, it's a good chance you might be. They needed to know what they're going to mortgage this document for. It's fascinating, isn't it? Now, what about the informant? Doesn't informant denote some sort of passing on of information of a crime? What's the informant? This whole document is fiction. It's all in a box. Can't be seen or heard. So we're going to go through now the public and private side of things, which is fiction and substance. Isn't it incredible? We're all running around in this fictional world, signing up. Go and try and open a bank account and tell them to spell your name in lowercase. You've been created as a nom de guerre dead person. That's actually not a birth certificate. It turns into a death certificate. Under trust law, in 45 days, it goes off to probate. You're actually running around as a nom de guerre dead person. How many rights does a dead person have? How many rights? What about a corporation? Isn't that what corporation stands for? C-O-R-P, dead? It's a dead man speaking. That's what corporation stands for.
Does that mean I can claim insurance for being dead?
For being dead? Yeah. Well, you're running around telling everyone you're dead every time you sign something under that entity.
You can't pay tax, though.
You don't pay tax, your corporation does. So we'll run through that. You can't be taxed. The Bible says you can't be, and you can't be put in servitude or usury. So you don't, but your corporation does. There's a very public and a very private side to the way we exist. Okay, the public side is all about fiction. They've created this big smoke and mirrors persona or person. Okay, whereas on the other side, are we not men and women? Are we dead? Are we nom de guerre dead people in corporations, or are we men and women? So when they write your name in capital letters, okay, we'll show you now how to write your name in what's called quantum English or truth language. So rather than writing your name John James Doe, you'd write it John hyphen James. Sorry, not hyphen. Full colon John hyphen James full colon Doe. Full colon, if you look in an international styles or any styles manual, denotes a prepositional phrase. Okay, so you're actually noticing people that you are a noun. You are something of substance by writing your name that way. I see a lot of people even writing to us and in their emails and they're writing their name this way. They don't even know why. Don't use information if you don't know why you're doing it. So you can watch David Wynne-Miller's stuff, but please start denoting yourself as a noun or a factual being in future. Who thinks they're a citizen or a resident or a ratepayer? All of those are public words. They're public entities with corporate ramifications, or a licensee, or an employee. How many of you are running around and joining yourself to these entities? Are we not sovereign sentient beings? Sovereign meaning of the land. Sentient means flesh and blood, spirit-filled beings. Are we not? We're not nom de guerre dead people. How we trade is through what we call is your agent in commerce or your birth certificate. That's the window between the two worlds that you are always signing off on. Look at the documents when you go and get your driver's license. You will be relinquishing your rights by identifying yourself as this entity. So whether you're doing it with knowledge or without knowledge is up to you from now on. Under the public side, we operate, as you just saw, under Admiralty or maritime law, which was the law of the sea. And it was all about trade, wasn't it? And then they very wittingly worked out that that's how they could trade us. So you've got to remember, the whole civilised world was Europe, wasn't it, until 300 years ago? They didn't really know about America or Australia. And from there, the whole colonisation of the world revolved around trade and ownership and money. At Truthology, we've developed an in-depth 4-stage private administration process that will empower you to ask the banks to prove their claim against you. Under the law, anyone making a claim must be able to verify it and to provide prima facie evidence in the form of contracts that are transparent and not misleading. Otherwise, they are unrevealed and unconscionable contracts. In other words, fraudulent. A lot of our clients come to us with credit cards, car payments behind, mortgage payments behind, and in a world of pain. Listen to a few of our clients now who have undergone this process.
Truthology through a very dear friend of mine who had just suffered a severe financial loss through the bust of 2008, and I had already started asking my own questions about the banks and how can they get away with things the way they were doing it, and he suggested that I come to a Truthology seminar with Mark, and it was such an eye-opening and empowering day. I could not wait to get out of there in the afternoon to go home and tell my husband that we have a bit of might about us because right is might, and we learnt a lot of things that the banks were doing which were very fraudulent, and there was a way that we could save ourselves from that heartache from them. And we've begun the process, and with every stage we become more and more empowered. We feel excited about the conclusion. Every step is just making us feel bigger and better. I actually feel like I'm growing 2 inches with every step. So I cannot thank Mark enough. He has just been phenomenal. And it's his knowledge that will empower you, and as it empowered me. So all I can say is just get to a seminar and just find out for yourself. Learn the knowledge. Once you have the knowledge, what you do with it's up to you. But I can guarantee you, you will walk out a different person than the one you walked in.
So when you know who you truly are, you can reclaim your standing in this life. You see, the Constitution doesn't give you your rights. It merely lists the inalienable rights already endowed to you by your Creator. So I encourage you to wake up from the illusion that has been very carefully orchestrated all around you. Sounds like a whole heap of conspiracy theory hype, doesn't it? I thought the same. I challenge you to look deeper, and you will discover the truth because it's all around you, if only you cared to look. This is exactly why we've created the Truthology membership, incorporating an online training program where I will personally walk you through 10 modules to assist you to discover your truth and your inalienable rights. Some of this information is huge, and so we've also created an online community where you can link up with other like-minded people to feel supported and to share your stories through all this process. So if any of this is resonating with you, then we look forward to you joining the Truthology family.